All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to 3.5 Day 3 Notes. Still on equations of lines. So yesterday, we did equations of lines in point-slope form. Today, we're going to show how we would take those and change them into slope-intercept form. So here we go. This is probably actually the format that you're more familiar with lines being in. It's that y equals mx plus b format. So y equals mx plus b, where m is still the slope. But b is the y-intercept. Okay, so what we can do is actually start off with the equations the way that we had them yesterday, or actually probably this was, what, Thursday? Yeah, so start off with the equations the way we were writing them on Thursday, and then change them into this other format by solving for y. So starting with our first example, we want it parallel to a given line. That means we're going to use the same slope. And through the point 2, -1, parallel to y equals 4x minus 1. So we're going to start with point slope from last week. So we're going to go y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's what we're going to start with. So we have our x1, y1, because that's our coordinates. And then we have our slope from over here. M is 4. So we're going to use that information and put it in point slope form. So we're going to go y minus y1, but y1 was -1. So y minus -1 is really like y plus 1 equals our slope 4 times x minus x1, x minus 2. Okay, so now we have it in point slope form. To put it into slope-intercept form, we just have to solve for y. So what I'm going to do first over here in solving for y is I'm going to distribute the 4 to both of these. So we get y plus 1 equals 4x minus 8. Okay. Then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides so that we get y equals 4x minus 9. That is our final answer. And that's all we have to do. Okay. There's another way that you could do this. You don't have to put it into point slope form first. If you want to, there is another option. So just really depends on what you like. If you liked this way, do it this way. But here's another option. So we know that y equals mx plus b. We know what m is. We can substitute that in right away. We can go y equals 4x plus b. Then, to solve for b, you could plug in 2 for x and -1 for y. So I could go -1 equals 4 times 2 plus b. And then solve for b. So I could go -1 equals 8 plus b minus 8 on both sides. So we know that -9 equals b. So then at the end, I substitute -9 up here for b so that we get y equals 4x minus 9, just like we got over here. Okay. So that's another option. If you want to solve them that way, you're more than welcome to. I kind of like this way because it shows you doing both methods, and so we can kind of connect them. But it is indeed the same line. It's the same idea. It's just a different representation. But however you would like to do it is fine. Okay. So second example. This time we're going perpendicular to a given line, which means we need to make sure we use the negative reciprocal of the slope. Okay, so this time we have our point, our x1, y1, just like usual. But this time, since we want the negative reciprocal slope, if my original slope is -3/1, if I flip it and change the sign, my new slope is going to be +1/3. Okay, so if I go and write this first in point slope form, we have y minus y1. So minus -2 is like +2. And then we have 1/3 times x minus 4. Okay, so that's our point slope form. Now we want to change it into slope-intercept. So I'm going to distribute the 1/3. When I do that, we get y plus 2 equals 1/3 x, and then 1/3 times 4 like that. Remember multiplying fractions, 1/3 times 4. 4 is really like 4 over 1. So you can just multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. So 1/3 times 4 is 4/3. And since it was -4, it's -4/3. Okay. The last step. And sometimes these ones, especially when it's negative reciprocals and stuff like that, the fractions become a part of this. So here we go. On this one, the last thing I have to do is subtract 2 from both sides. So we get y equals 1/3 x, and then we have to deal with this -4/3 minus 2. So there's a couple of ways we can deal with this. The first way is to go, okay, if I'm doing -4/3, kind of off to the side, minus 2, I need to make a common denominator. The denominator here is 3. So if I multiply by 3 on the top and on the bottom, then we get a common denominator. So what I'm left with here is -4/3 minus 6/3, since 2 times 3 is 6. So we get -10/3. And I can just leave it like that as -10/3. Sorry. There we go. Now we can see it. So I can leave this as y equals 1/3 x minus 10/3. You can also do it in your calculator and get a decimal. That's not really the preferred way, but it's something that's an option if you really need it. So we could also get y equals 1/3 x, and then this would be minus 3.3 repeating as a decimal. So if you did -4 divided by 3 minus 2 in your calculator, this is also what you would get. Okay, so let's turn the page and try one of these on your own. So we turn the page, we get to the homework assignment. The first 6 problems, actually this entire first page, we're writing lines that are parallel to the given line and through the given point. So pause the video here, look at number 1, and give that a try on your own. Find the slope, find the line in point slope form, and then change it into slope-intercept. So go ahead and pause the video real quick. Okay, hopefully you paused it and gave it a try. On this one, since the slope here is 1, checking our answer here, the new slope is also 1 since it's parallel. And then this is our x1 and our y1. So if I'm doing point slope form, we're going y minus y1. So in this case, since it's -1, it's y plus 1 equals our slope, which is 1, times x plus 1, since x1 is also -1. Okay, so there's point slope. Then distributing, we get y plus 1 equals 1x. So you can just write x plus 1 times 1 is 1. Lastly, we have to subtract 1 on both sides to solve for y. So on this one, we actually just get y equals x for our slope-intercept form. Okay, so part of your homework is to finish the rest of this page on the front. Then, on the back of that, this page, we're doing perpendicular slopes. So, let's go ahead and try this first one right here. I'll get us started off on the right foot. The original slope here is 3. The negative reciprocal of 3 is negative 1/3. Okay, so try writing it in point slope for your new equation, and then in slope-intercept form. Pause the video, do it on your own, and then come back. Okay, hopefully you pause the video. Let's check our answer. So here's our x1 and our y1. We're going to have, let's see, y minus y1, so plus 3, equals negative 1/3 times x minus 1. There's our point slope form. So if that's what you had, you're on the right track. Then we have to go ahead and distribute the negative 1/3. So we get negative 1/3 x plus 1/3. Because negative 1/3 times negative 1 is positive 1/3. And then we still have y plus 3 over here. The last thing we have to do is subtract 3 on both sides. So we get y equals negative 1/3 x. And then we have to deal with the subtracting fractions here. What you should get is minus 2 2/3. Or you could have it as, let's see, 8/3. So you could also have negative 1/3 x minus 8/3. Or if you did it with a decimal, you'd have negative 1/3 x minus 2.67. It's really 6 repeating, but those are all kind of representations of the same thing here. Okay, so your homework is to finish the rest of this page as well. So have fun, bring any questions you have tomorrow, and we can talk it out. Have a good one.